This is Pirate Video, my friends, as we sail towards the horizon, deep in inner space on the calm, smooth seas in this summer on our cruise ship, sailing through the sky. Artist Journal, July 3rd, 2023. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. Making it up as I go along. Welcome back, everybody. Full of coffee. Welcome Monday morning. No better way to start. So we saw the static version of this. This is gogolitis, of course. We saw the static version. The dynamic version, the animated version, has come out. It's going to be for sale today on Solana on exchange.art. Gogo put out a tweet. It's an edition of 100, so I think it's going to be affordable. And you probably have a few minutes to pick one up. So I have my Sol ready, so hopefully I can take advantage. So it's just a really cool work. I mean, we've seen it before, static. To me, there's something, I think it's the scale. I think it's the sheer size of this piece. I think it's 1920 by 1080. And I just think there's something kind of epic about it, because usually, you know, it's a square work. So, I mean, Gogo purposefully made it, tailored it, customized it to, you know, a video screen, a video monitor screen. And there's something kind of poetic in that. There's something very practical in it as well. I mean, remember we saw those vertical works, glitch works by Sabato, also using 1920 by 1080. So it's just kind of interesting in that regard. And again, I don't know if I have too much more to say other than there's something very kind of epic and ambitious about the piece. The animation itself is hard to solve. Like when you're looking at it, it really does feel like they're all just kind of doing their own thing. The animation is quite successful. And what I do, I mean, the little kind of visual game you play, and there's this brilliant kind of guy in the top left too, overseeing the proceedings here. But I mean, you follow the little cat as it jumps across and moves across and then comes down here, down the elevator. You know, again, what I call these pixel art factories, and then comes up here, just like a video game. And we have a lot to say about video games here. And then moves down over to here, and then moves back up over to here to complete the level and restart again. The eternal return here, the eternal cycle of this little cat. What is the title of this? Let us see here. What is the title? Meow's Lava Tracks. Interesting title. So again, supply of 100. This zero available yet, but I believe a tweet went out saying that they will be for sale today. So you still have time to add to your Sol collection. A very beautiful work there. So also, and here's gogolitis. I mean, the magic of this community is you can show the work, and there's already a comment here. Thank you, Adrian from Gogolitis. The lenticular piece is rad. This is so cool. So referring to Popple's collaboration with Explainer Gallery, where they were turning some of the Pixel Langton series into lenticular prints. I wish I could hold one in my hand to see with my own eyes how it looks. And yeah, maybe we can get more video on that. I agree. I think it looks like an interesting solution. I would be curious to see it too. The artworks by R Milk you showcased is one for a collab with me. So we showed a preview of a work that R Milk was working on, so that's part of a collab, I think. Also Runetune, and we had the pixel art question as we were discussing last episode. Runetune, I think there is something to be said about the early years of video games when it comes to the accessibility of pixel art. So this is super interesting, and as we're going to see today in a few comments, this came up over and over again. This nostalgia. And this is a really interesting topic. It's interesting that I never thought of it, because I do think of these early video games as very nostalgic. I have a series called Nostalgic Studies where I celebrate works, say like Ultima 4 for me, which is a, early masterpiece of digital art, I like to say. So it's interesting how, though, I don't connect that with pixel art, but I think you guys are absolutely right here. Unless you are totally off the grid, completely removed from the culture, we can all identify pixel images having a relationship to retro video games. The pixel image is inherently linked to a nostalgic thing of entertainment culture. The way high art can have exclusivity that keeps some people out or opposed, be it culturally, intellectually, or otherwise, pixel art is wildly inclusive, agreed, and unassuming, beautifully put. I don't imagine many people get their intellectual art guard up when they see pixel art. Not to say that pixel art cannot be profound. It is. It can be, but other medias may confuse or challenge viewers in ways the unassuming pixel art does not. Interesting. Very interesting. And continuing on Andre Summer Blues, thank you, Adrian. This still feels new to me. I've occasionally streamed on Discord, so referring to the streaming and how you can do it on Behance. So I guess Andre was streaming on Discord, which I didn't realize you could do. I'm not a power Discord user, though. Maybe the mechanics are almost the same. I'll be posting some of my portfolio first on Behance in the future. It looks like a great way to stream. I remember seeing it a few months ago. So very nice, hilarious comment there from Genresis and the 91 Woods. I think this is Bulls. Great episode as always, Adrian. Bulls here. First time commenting on YouTube on the pixel art theme. Beside the intellectual aspects of it, I would add that on an emotional level, the nostalgia factor cannot be ignored. Most collectors in here are between 20-something or 40-something years old. As kids, we grew up with this kind of images in video games, a kind of image that is now being raised by the ones who love it to an art form. With such an emotional bond with it, it's set to succeed. Also, I don't know if this has been mentioned before, but the new collection of abstracts by Santiago seems to use video game graphics as its brushes too. Well, isn't that interesting? And we're going to look at a couple of more here today that could explain what's going on there, because they do seem to be sampled brushes. And so that would make a ton of sense if that's what Santiago is doing. And if that is the case, that makes a pretty cool series even more interesting. Best of wishes. Have a great weekend. Thank you. And thank you also everybody else for the show, for the comments. Very nice comments here. Ed Marola also weighing in on the pixel art theme. I have a few theories on why pixel art matters. Number one is that it's part of a whole new digital poetics field we are trying to understand. Digital poetics is unique in quite a few ways. Number one, it speaks to our climate change apocalyptic view because it's not based on pigments nor materiality. It's pure light. It's metaphysical. It's art made from complete post-nature environment. So, of course, the first thing that crosses my mind is Terence McKenna, the great, mushroom philosopher from the 1990s. Rest in peace, Terence. Maybe Terence is listening right now. It reminds me of Terence McKenna and that wonderful line that he had where he saw the future as capitalism made of light. And we are very much engaged in this, aren't we? I mean, who knows? Yeah, I think we can call it capital. Let's call it free market just to kind of depoliticize it a little bit. But we are engaged in a free market here made of pure light. And so now I think this is more of, it's an interesting, I've never thought of it that way. I have thought of it as being, digital art is interesting because of its unmateriality and also in the sense that it can be, transmitted. Like, in a sense, should we be a spacefaring species in the coming centuries, which seems inevitable as long as we don't blow ourselves up, which is an open question. As long as if we become a spacefaring species, as I like to say with digital art, are you going to carry your Picasso onto your spaceship? Or are you probably going to leave it on Earth? And do you have the space or the, maybe in 4 centuries you can put your Picasso on, but until then, and do you want to take care of it? Maybe you want to leave that on Earth, but as far as digital art, You just beam that over, and there it is. So weirdly, even though we're so new on digital art and, pixel, that's why I'm kind of back to this pixel art thing. Maybe like this may be the beginning, digital art, of a whole, like when you start zooming out over the millennia, should things continue for millennia, we may be ancient Egypt right now of digital art. We are probably the ancient Egypt of digital art, should this species survive. And if that is the case, then again, this pixel art thing, it has legs. Like there may be more to it than, there's a lot going for it, because we all feel that nostalgia, a lot of us. And let's continue with what Ed is saying here. He has a couple of more points here. As multiple generations grow with Atari, Super Nintendo, and Minecraft, now pixel is finally a big part of the construction of self for most people in the working age. Yeah, how would I put that? I don't know if sure, it's part of the visual ingredients, let's say, of our subjectivity. So maybe it's just paraphrasing what Ed is saying, part of the visual, how we grew up. So fair enough, part of the construction of self. It's like a new Jungian archetype, I would say, like a lost part of identity. That may be a bridge too far, but maybe a kind of digital building block. So I see what you're saying, though. I see what you're saying. I mean, the Jungian archetypes, from what I understand, is, there are certain, to riff off of this, is that there are certain personality types and there are certain aspects of human psychology that are basically timeless and related to human nature, that basically, no matter what happens in our technologies, our human nature is still our human nature, and that these are revealed through myths and maybe art and, all sorts of things. So, yeah, the interesting question. Pixel is the atom, and here I think we're totally in alignment. Pixel is the atom of this. In my definition, pixel art is art where individual pixels are discrete and non-aliased. Now, there is a major contribution to our definition of pixel art. Non-aliased. Do you know what alias is? To be when you are making a circle in Photoshop, not a vector, but using a bitmap, a digital, a bitmap file, or a rasterized file, however you'd put that, but not vector. In order to get that kind of circle, there's a small kind of gradient to kind of colors the pixels, and that is, I think that's anti-aliasing. And so he's basically saying it's the opposite. It's when the pixels are discrete and there's no kind of gradient around that circle. And so the circle, when it's, you'd say it's aliased, actually. I'm not, but I have to check that up. But we all understand, I think, what we're saying here. Feel free to leave a question if that wasn't clear. And non-alias, so very interesting contribution here. And I think that's actually that might be part of the essential characteristics of pixel art here. The square brick that informs the eye, you can't go on further. After that, it's just 1 and 0. And maybe, this is beautifully put, Ed, and maybe that kind of harkens to the technological aspects of pixel art. This is also digital poetics. The analog world is a world of limitless variation. No equal brushstrokes exist. Pixel on its hands are always equal for you, me, and everyone. And finally, mimetic reproduction is part of that. In sexual reproduction, two genomes merge into new being. All art had to be made that way. To a point, replicas were made by high-skilled artists, but experts can often spot the difference. Digital art has the control as integral part, control as integral part of the making. So there I start to get a little lost. I need to look up mitosis, the introduction of mitosis into human creativity, but then 4, as we go further into the 21st century aesthetic, we find old circadian rhythms more and more obsolete. We live in a 24/7 global information society. The rhythm is faster every day. Loops and GIFs are often associated with pixel art, small self-contained systems that run endless. So awesome thread there, Ed, and thank you for the comments. helping enrich this conversation here that we're having. Everybody who are commenting on this pixel art and everything else. Strange thing. Good morning, everyone. Look at this. Just an Instagram update. The Medici Collection jacket just posted 500,000 likes today. Not bad for a carousel post. I also hit 164,000 followers. Hope everyone's day is just great. So there it is. 500,000 likes. Not just views, but likes. So Strange Thing continues to do well. Went from basically, I think he started his Instagram account in September and is at 164,000. Many of us have been on Instagram for like a decade. It's 2023. I've been since like probably 2013, a lot of us. And their Strange Thing is just leapfrogging everyone. Nick St. Pierre. So this is fascinating here. Yesterday I shared an example of the Midjourney workflow. Generate image with a text prompt. Use output in new image and text prompt. So you get your output and then you add a text prompt. Remix, change, style, and add, chaos, weird, run variations, zoom out, custom zoom out, change prompt, and AR. Here's that visualized step by step. So I wanted to show this because not everybody is using Midjourney. And so just so that they can see what's going on. Step one. So he goes through it step by step of what is going on. Generate an image with a text prompt. Photo of a duck in a pond. Here's the ratio using Midjourney 5.2. So you see the prompt engineering, very simple here, and you get some ducks. He picks to upscale version 4. Use output in new image with text prompt. So then you can use that image and then put a misty night full of mystery, keeping the same ratio, and then gets these 4 results here, decides to upscale version 3 here. So you just press upscale and then you get that. Remix, change, style, and add, chaos, and weird. So a nice sculpture, same ratio, 5.2, style, raw. And then remember we saw weird the other day, weird 200, and then C, I guess that's chaos 6. Gets these 4 results here of the duck. So the duck turns into a moose, it seems like, and then adds, and then an ice sculpture here. So interesting to see how that completely changes. And then if you're confused on the remix part, check this thread, and then run variations, very subtle, and then here you are, and then zoom out, which gives you more of a background here. Custom zoom out, change prompt, and AR, a group of wizards waiting by the water, version 5.2, style raw, weird 50, ratio 3.2, and there, with some wizards there is your ice sculpture. So 2 very different images, but also quite similar in a lot of ways. So there you go. If you've ever wondered, and even for people that use it, this is actually pretty helpful. So I thought I'd share it. And here's Art Matter, who was on the Spaces, and that'll probably go up in the next day or two. Twitter is making it hard to download your space, so I have to figure out alternate solutions, but I have. And so here you go. So just Art Matter at work with their robotic machines, and you see with the paintbrush there. So all very exciting. I always get, again, total FOMO seeing their machines. Also, this was interesting too, Greco. He has this great video where he shows, it's a pretty cool work in progress video. I mean, he did a pretty good job where you just get, see the whole work and how he works and everything. And there it is. It's kind of nice and short too, very consumable. And I just thought that was kind of brilliant there. So cool there. And here's another work in progress shot. We love the progress shots here. The making of Edenfall 3, Fountain of the Interlinked. So we saw this work the other day. I'm not sure how much it went for, but this is how it had a 0.66 bid. I don't know if it went for more. Here's all the preparation before it though. When I was making La Reine des Bijoux for Art Monochrome, LA Trader, and Bijou, I developed the design of a femme figure with frontal body opened. Sanitarium series are all about form and color, where impression dominates over precision. Sketches on paper for La Reine. So this is for an earlier piece. And so here are some sketches here. And you totally see, actually, some of those sanitarium works here. This design later evolved into the central figure in Edenfall 3, where clear lines and dots are the core of illustrative process. Here I want the body to be statuesque and neat, and the content pouring out of the body to be organic and messy, an early sketch on paper. So again, this is all to make up this. And then continuing on, one of the posture references for the final version was Auguste Rodin's Eve, which is here. Interesting work. Through the softness and fluidness of the body are not present here. Reference and early digital sketches. So it starts to evolve it and develop it to here. Combine things. Enteric nervous system has always been an interesting topic. Guts communicate with brains way more than we think. Gut feeling often dominates how we react to things. You don't want to be the figure skater who performs right before lunchtime when judges are hungry. Discarded design. So here was another design for this work. And then finally, internet feels like another set of guts outside of your body. It passes on information, affects our feelings, and we have no total control over it, just like our nervous system in the belly, in a way where all individuals interlinked in this massive digital guts cluster. And then here you see kind of like these emotions, these personalities of sorts within the gut. And finally, Edenfall 3 depicts a node in this network, a basic unit where digital information and the flesh network are interlinked. Hope you like the work and find the thread useful in many ways. Thanks for reading. Special thanks to Flesh Machine. So here it is. So you see it all being built here, and you see all the thought that goes into this. And so again, when you start to see this sort of thing, I think it's unambiguous and quite clear that this work is kind of credible on a contemporary art stage when you consider all of the thought that goes into it. So it's interesting, though, that really, other than Explainer Gallery, which has, collaborated with Popple, but we still haven't seen the galleries come in here and start to kind of sign people up, as far as I know. I mean, maybe it's happening in the background and I'm just not aware, but it's quite interesting. You see the depth, I guess, is the moral of the story. And here's very interesting too, Sabato. So, of course, on Twitter, the rate limit exceeded. Everybody saw this message because they're reducing what you can see for various reasons. So a few people commented on it, and Sabato put out this visual commentary, this beautiful work here, which he was selling for 2 Tezos each in an open edition. I think he's at about 100 have sold already. A nice, very simple, very quickly put together piece, which is beautiful. And just, again, using likely deluxe paint. And look at that, 38,000 views. So 2 Tezitos, and it's going to be available for a few more days here. Another person, Semha, whose work we saw the other day, What is my rate limit? So again, playing with these kind of colors with this kind of almost monochromatic drawing, and then almost these rainbow colors with it, TV and the person kind of interfacing here. Interesting kind of rain background or just lines going through, animated background. Popple, rate limit, and there's 36,000 views, another take on it. So it's hilarious, this real-time commentary. I'm a huge fan of this whole idea that artists are commenting in real time, very fast, on current events, like same day, which is pretty incredible. And they have motivation to do so because then things are much more likely to go viral. So you latch on to whatever is trending, and then you make a work based on that, and then before you know it, your work is trending too. This is quite interesting too. Solana flips Ethereum. We're taking this person's word for it, Step Data Insights. Breaking, Solana flips Ethereum in 24-hour volume for the first time ever in a bear market. So according to this person, NFT sales volume in 24 hours in the last few days, there was more sold on Solana than Ethereum. It's interesting how Tezos isn't even on here. It's incredible that there's that much volume. I mean, here's, I guess, wash, so let's just call it sales. It's incredible there's $25 million of volume in NFT sales on Ethereum and Solana. That is quite something, and that's in a bear market. It's almost hard to believe. I mean, that's impressive. And then here, newsflash, NFTs are now about 10% of the global art market sales. Well, I guess if you're doing $25 million of volume a day, on each chain, on Solana and Ethereum, typically 10% is around the tipping point psychologically that mass cultural shifts and technological adoptions begin to take place. That's Tezos vending machine. So saying that the 10% area is where the tipping point, well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. This was posted. I thought this was quite beautiful. Synthetic Dialogue by Emily, maybe G, I'm assuming. This went for 10 ETH, which is close to $20,000. This beautiful work here. Now, there's something kind of special about it. Synthetic Dialogue is a digital collage that combines AI synthesized assets with generative art through the use of algorithmically produced papers. Inspired by early 20th century art, Synthetic Dialogue serves as a distilled exploration of color, form, texture, and composition. This piece juxtaposes glitch-infused neon elements against palpable, paper-like textures straddling the line between the analog and the digital. So, pretty interesting. Again, I'm not exactly sure, in a sense, what that all means, other that there's AI, some generative, maybe some synthetic paper of sorts, like in other words, digitally produced paper, makes a very nice result, and it's quite beautiful. Synthetic Dialogue, the crowd loves it at 10 ETH. And so here are some of the other works here. So not too many works here. Generative artist and engineer out of New York City. So pretty cool. Nice kind of start there. Die with the most likes. I missed this work here. And here it is. This sold also for, let's actually just see here quickly. This sold for 12 ETH, $20,000. On June 16th was when this was minted. Part of this Exist to Submit series. And let's just take a closer look here. And it looks like almost like a furniture store of sorts, and very cool kind of cube here. And interestingly, these kind of figures here are no color. So kind of, it feels like Die with the most likes is kind of pushing things a little bit with just different ideas in terms of just the figures here. They're kind of monochromatic. And I mean, what is going on here? We see a net, and then we see almost like these static TVs or these things coming out of the eye, almost like these memories coming out of the eye. Maybe this person is dying. Wouldn't shock me in a Die with the most likes work. And then this. So you see it's getting more symbolic, like in terms of the narrative. It seems like Die is kind of pushing things from a narrative perspective. Things are getting slightly more surreal, slightly more symbolic, slightly more ambiguous. And isn't that interesting? So the market also is rewarding Die with a cool $20,000 from Artifaction. And here Smonter is back with a super cool work here, digital illustration. Look at this composition. And what is it called again? Survive. And so this kind of library in the future with these super cool books, you see here on the spine, these futuristic books, and this person at a table at this super strange angle, looking up at the, ceiling here, at the glass ceiling where you can see, some robots out of control with a helicopter, gunship of sorts, and this person just in the library, another day at the office, so to speak. So beautiful work here by Smonter. Sent me one. Thank you, Smonter. And I would have shown it anyway. 1 Tezos. So that is cool. Thank you for the gift, though, because I would have missed it. And yeah, so now $690 on secondary. Beautiful work. Another illustration, Wasteman Goldminovich, another failed artist. One of my favorite series. And I'll show you. I recently picked this up because I should have bought it the first time when I saw it for 2 Tezos. I'll come back to the new one, but I came back to this last week and I thought, You know what it reminds me of, and probably a lot of you will find this outrageous, but it reminds me of Picasso's Blue Period, but it's kind of like much more modern, and it's got this Pepe figure, and sure, okay, it's done with Microsoft Paint in a much looser sort of way, we could say, but there's something really rich about this piece here, The Failed Artist, and so yeah, so I'd pick that up. So just for those that haven't looked at that work in a while, I mean, it's really holding up well over time. I remember when it first came out, it was just kind of funny. But I mean, now it's like, this is like a beautiful canvas, is how I see it. So there is a new one, and it's hilarious, Road to Nowhere. So The Failed Artist is on the road to nowhere here, and you see some McDonald's in the messy car, cigarettes on each side, and going fast and the McDonald's on instead of the Mercedes sign here, and shoe on the ground, and just everything. So just another cool addition to a classic series. This is number 29. So they continue here from Wasteman Goldminovich. And also Portrait of Mark Zuckerberg, Zucket chilling at home. So again, playing with different kind of brushes here. This is almost like, I think this is an oil brush in Microsoft Paint, I think. I'm not positive on that, and just kind of really nicely painted. Snowman guy as Mark Zuckerberg with a nice long shadow and a little piece of cake here, surrealistically. Zuck at home chilling probably means something. And here was an interesting painting by Relax, and shout out to Relax, who has, I think, left comments and or maybe just tweets and everything. Pray for GM, digital painting by Relax. And so here you almost see like a Mikey Wilson type figure here with GM on the jacket and praying, giving thanks. Pray for GM. So edition of 12, and there are 10 left at 450. So cool digital painting here. A new beginning of sorts here if you go to Relax's page here. I don't know if it's going to load. We'll see if it loads here. Object has been very slow to load here, so here it is. So you see kind of the first digital painting of sorts here from Relax. So some experimentation of various kinds here. Some cool gifts. So new one from Relax. Ranexteer with a super cool work. And it was really cheap, and there was an edition of 30. I thought I had all the time in the world, but then it was burned. You always got to be careful with that. This is called Magic Lamp, and just another interesting kind of abstract, semi-abstract piece here, totally recognizable as Ranexteer's. So that went for only a Tezos to Lorna Mills and Louis, and then the rest were burnt. So gotta go while you can, cool work. Look at this gorgeous work by Element Lee. Remember the experimental pixel artist, and I had only seen their work on Ethereum. But I think Cap'n actually retweeted this, and look at how beautiful this is. You gotta love the structure. I mean, it reminds you of that James Rosenquist work. Maybe I can bring that up, but first let's look at this. I mean, again, just experimental pixel art. Something like that I'm all over here. Like you see here, and how is it experimental? Well, you know, this looks like grass over here too, but it's not colored in. It's not following all the lines super closely. This beautiful trees over here. Look at these beautiful trees. I mean, it's really beautiful. And then we have some roses here. And I mean, like that structure, I picked one up. That structure, James Rosenquist, what is it, like car grill, woman, spaghetti? Let's see what shows up with this. Here it is. Almost kind of like the structure here, reminiscent of this, you know, it's got that same really cool structure of juxtaposition there. So I think I might have, yeah, so we lost the Element Lee version. Yeah, it'll probably take forever to load here. But just very, very cool work here from Element Lee. Object has been super slow for me. And let me speed through this show. We got to finish this thing. So beautiful work from Element Lee. Here's another beautiful pixel art work, and you got to love the color. Stippen Pixel, Safety Zone. So we've been looking at these kind of different houses that are in the middle of, you know, these kind of open abstract spaces. Well, here's another one. And again, the color. these beautiful digital greens, just gorgeous. Edition of 8 for 5 Tezos, 1 left. A cool work from Ed Marola, City Attack, and so kind of almost feels like an unconscious. I mean, you wonder if this is like an unconscious response to the riots that are going on in France, and who knows? But here we see a city, and then these snakes that are going across here, and just really cool and mysterious. I love the frame. I love that border here. That is beautiful. So super interesting work. An edition of 1. Did it sell? 150 Tezos to Illusion. Yes, it did. And look at this. Eddie. So again, an edition of 1. I'm seeing the editions of 1 get more and more popular. And I kind of understand it. I just feel like we're seeing more and more of it. And because sometimes you can get just as much money or more with the edition of 1, and there's something kind of more precious and about it. And when you post a 1 of 1, like, it really excites collectors, and there is the sense that you have to jump on it while you can, because it creates that FOMO, that fear of missing out. It creates that urgency that is key to sales, right? And it is that much more collectible. So all to say, here's just some interesting brushwork. Again, eyes to kind of turn it into something. Interesting background here from Ed Marola. Let's just see what happened here. So transferred to the mayor. So maybe a private sale or a gift. Mech.txt edition of 20, again playing with the moving, animated, dynamic pixel art, an ode to old memories. So another cool work from Mech.txt, who just came off that huge sale there the other day, 1.4 ETH on Foundation. Beautifully done here. Kind of reminds me of Element Lee a little bit here in just that impressionistic kind of experimentalism. And look at this. Would you remember and then you can't even really, it's almost like that special font they use on Twitter, like me, pixelated. Interesting. Very interesting. Element Lee, so these slightly out of order here. Raining, another work that just came out. So again, interesting work. So a chair, a stool with a plant in green on just like this surface. Again, you think of Stip and Pixel. Just like this kind of surreal framing of sorts, and then rain drizzling here. Again, it looks like it's all very manually done, which is part of kind of what maybe makes it work here. And part of that what I call experimentalism, is just this manual imperfection of such a geometric, kind of mathematically perfect. It creates that contrast maybe. The imperfection and the perfection, and this beautiful kind of 4 on the floor dithering here. So beautiful. This is by Cap'n. A beautiful work here, One Night. And I think from a collection I'm still trying to figure out. So Cap'n holds on to his work for a while sometimes. So this is quite beautiful here. Just a beautiful kind of night landscape. Again, would make an insanely gorgeous screen print. One color screen print would be so easy to do. Maybe white paint on black paper or vice versa. Cool work by Spiegel's Meskinen with these kind of skeleton. It's almost like this fear, preying on a fear that a lot of us might have of getting stuck in one of these things and getting crushed. So one of these revolving doors, let's just see what the title is. Trespasser. Reserve of 0.75 ETH on Foundation. And actually, this was listed a month ago. So I don't know if I saw that one. We're making it up as we go along here, my friends. Muji, edition of 15. This came out just this weekend. And here, another in this series here, playing with these gorgeous violets here, with down to black, with this kind of nice gradient, and then these kind of rainbow, pixelation color spectrum that is flowing in, and then this wire as well, and then almost just to like this abstract, geometric device with almost kind of a, astronomical background here. Sold out on primary, now available on secondary for 27. And how much and it sold for 10 Tezos on primary. So nice work here, Dream Tower. And continuing on, another pixel art work, Nami Pakniat, and this came out March 15th, so another Twitter discovery though. Let's see if there's volume here. Just an artist I've never seen before. Again, people talk about video games, right? And pixel art in video games, this definitely has a video game feeling to it. Look at how beautiful the river is. A pretty fun work. And just this beautiful, almost like medieval scene here. This pastoral scene with rams and sheep. And then this little relationship here between these two. And they're throwing stuff. So anyways, just having fun here. Notorious Man XTZ, Cold. A pretty cool composition, again, playing with this super wide angle ratio. And kind of a cool just concept here. Maybe going through a tunnel or something with mountains in the background on a train. Interesting just piece. And was this burned? This looks like it was burned, but I'm not sure if it got re-released. Quickly checking. Wow, a bunch of one-of-ones here. Maybe this is a new series, but again, things aren't loading up here for me. Also from Cap'n, Pixels, available for 5 Tezos each. So this is a whole series that are available, just another side project of Cap'n. And let's actually just see how these are doing, if they'll load up. Okay, nice. Taya is loading up, by the way. So they are all kind of selling out, I think. They all look sold out. So you see these just kind of biological pixel art works here. And this is, so putting it out under different names. Each project with a different kind of auteur, nom de plume, as they would say, different kind of author name. And I'm going to make this quick. Notorious Man XTZ, this is what it feels like. So warning for the flashing images there. So what you're going to see here is a nice little waterfall with a quick flash. So I'll just go very quickly. Again, warning for people. And you see the waterfall there. This is what it feels like. And edition of 11 for 12. Here's another one, Silva Santos, Looming Conflict. Looks like a Super Nintendo ROM that's glitched out with tanks that are coming. Quite brilliant. This feels very gallery-esque, only 55 Tezos cents. Feels very topical, doesn't it? Haiti Rocket, no bonus. So another variation on the skateboarding game. Massive chunky pixels here. No metal, no bonus. And so, yeah, so there you go. Time 420, available for 37 Tezos on secondary, edition of 10. This one we missed too, is part of this abstract series using Brilliance 2.0 hypervisor. Just a really nice one that I missed the other day. And you see here, again, just nice experimentation. And this is sold out on primary at 37 Tezos. Renki with a couple here. Usuki. And this is Usuki, and edition of 10. There is one left. So Renki continues to sell really well. Just cool kind of pixel art abstraction, I guess we could call it, or at least bitmap abstraction. And here's another one, Kumasaki, edition of 10, and there's one left. So Renki is selling quite well. I mean, deservedly. Look at all these beautiful abstract works here. Just really interesting abstraction, consistently and very prolific. So we were discussing in the introduction there was a comment that was discussing how maybe Santiago is sampling video games to make these works. A sampled brush, and that's why you see this repetition when things get dragged across. Is Santiago using video games? Because it almost looks like it. And that would kind of add a whole other level of interest to these works. He's clearly doing something. They're quite brilliant. I mean, what if that's true? What if these are abstractions created from sampled video games? I mean, that really is a breakthrough of sorts. I mean, I've never seen it. I'm sure it's the first time it's been done. And I have to say, it's being done with a lot of expertise here. It's quite compelling, isn't it? It's quite persuasive. It's quite convincing. So only 6 Tezos, edition of 13, 5 left. I think we have another one. Look at this nice wide one. Again, we're kind of back to this Pollock idea, but on a completely different concept here. And here there's a lot more dithering. And these are huge files, by the way. And you could probably make them infinitely huge because look, 10,000 by 5,000, upscaled from 1,000 by 500. You know, as Rada mentions, in the future, however high resolution a screen is, this is another thing with pixel art. It is infinitely upscalable. So again, the case for pixel art continues. It continues to grow this for whatever reason. You know, again, I find this counterintuitive somewhat, but once you think about it, you go, okay, this makes sense. So just very interesting, and maybe a bit of a cut up here. Hardest time and craziest wind at the gates of the last gas station on Earth, and water became bodies dancing wrong. I mean, beautiful cut ups here in the titles. Pamela with a couple of one-of-ones here, 3612. So back on the scene and experimenting again. This almost looks like, you know, you see these anti-aliased or aliased pixels here. I think it's aliased. You see these like hard-edged pixels here. So again, now there is a texture, so I'm not sure if that's also square. We'd have to open them up big, but again, object is a little slow. 512. So just really, really beautiful abstracts here. I don't know if they're ever put for sale, or if they'll ever load up here. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Look at this by Koda Nakazono. I completely missed this. Untitled number 6. These look like Nintendo glitch ROMs, don't they? I mean, it almost looks like Mario in the background. I could be totally wrong here, but pretty cool. 3 of these came out. I don't know if there's others. Here's another one. So pretty interesting work here. You gotta love that, like, in between this. I mean, that is really, really nice work here. Still cheap. I mean, on secondary. I mean, so I'm not sure if this is, if there are only, like it says Untitled number 8, so maybe you have to go back to find other ones, but just really interesting work there. Continuing to push the envelope. Lorna Mills. State of Grace. So another kind of what I'd call a nature work here, this time with a little twister, a small tornado, and playing with that, and you see the chair kind of going flying there. So interesting work. Edition of 32, available for 29 Tezos on secondary, so this sold out. And I love this piece of bacon, and again, playing with these kind of hard-edged square mask, done with the marquee tool. So that is cool. I love this one. It's so simple. There's something about this one that really just hits the right note. Future Television by Tezos. I'm trying to make these, I'm kind of back to trying, I was doing really well in making these shows shorter, and I am going to make them shorter again. I'm aiming for 30 minutes. That would be beautiful. Look at how gorgeous this is. Look at how gorgeous this is. So Tezos with a gorgeous TV. I think there's like 1 left or something. 3 left at 7 Tezos. The color. This series just is excellent. Future Television 2 and Polygon 1993 with another work, 116,000 views. Just another beautiful work, trademark colors here in that external 3 sort of thing. You know, almost like a signature of sorts. Let's see what the Sailor Moon, beautiful. I thought this was hilarious. There are people of a certain age, Roberto Baggio, 6 minutes and 25 seconds, sound on. So this is hilarious. So those who, because Roberto Baggio is famous for missing this penalty kick. This person seems Brazilian. I remember watching this live. I think it was Italy for the World Cup. He'll always miss. Doesn't have any. He's already missed. He sure. We all kind of knew he had already missed. Well, look at the shot here. He was supposed to be the savior of Italian soccer.
Eu tinha 7 anos de idade e esse chute definiu minha geração, minha relação com meu país.
So off the crossbar there, or just completely missing.
Nós éramos mais uma vez os melhores no futebol, embora péssimos em política e péssimos como sociedade. Quem era bom nisso?
Yeah, just completely missing. So we can't show the whole thing. It's 6 minutes and 25 seconds. Here's just a little preview. So yeah, and then it comes back to Baggio with his famous haircut, just a really long kind of ponytail. So, two hilarious from Enrique Cartajo, also known as Augurs NFT. I think this is on Object One. See that? From Object One. So, you can probably buy this as a one of one. You probably have to spend a lot of money. Mikey Wilson is becoming a pretty accomplished AI artist here. Look at the beautiful color here. The beautiful, beautiful color here kind of has a bit of a Bob Dylan sort of look and feel. You see this is a gorgeous AI painting by Mikey Wilson. So I feel like Mikey Wilson has been doing this for maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks. So, this is inspiring. I mean, it's a beautiful painting here. And as we were saying with Art Matter, how long is it going to be until these can be turned into physical paintings? How much will this go for as a physical painting? Fascinating. 0.12 ETH reserve on foundation. Fixin' to Die Blues, an AI image created in Midjourney. So this is super impressive painting by Mikey Wilson. Paintbox Paradise by Zoom. Now remember here, we were seeing mirrors being used over and over. Here I think we have a variation where it looks like a canvas, doesn't it? Because this isn't, but you have the chair and then the table is here. So a really, subtle composition. Again, I'm kind of back to that Edouard Manet work of the woman working in the bar with the mirror behind her. We discussed this work in the past. It kind of has this it's a very complex composition. Again, made in AI. It's Paintbox Paradise. Very cool. Edition of 5 for $12.99. Looks like it sold out on Primary. So really nice work. Selling for not too much money. Yuri J picked up the last one. Mr. Shapeless, Watcher of the Skies on Tezos. So Mr. Shapeless likes to put out experimentation on Tezos oftentimes. So here is a work, so an AI artwork from Mr. Shapeless, selling for 10 Tezos, edition of 10, and 9 are left. This may need to be updated here, this page, refreshed. You can recognize who this is, Sky Goodman. And here, heel season. So playing with high heels here in the AI art kind of mishmash here. And so just a very cool variation here, heel season from Sky Goodman. Now this is an interesting artist, Ray, who did a PFP project before and just a really nice Snakes and Ladders. Oh, this is just a beautiful illustration. It looks physical, doesn't it? So very nice piece here from Ray. And here is off of Instagram. I thought this was gorgeous. This very simple work here, almost reminiscent of Matisse Dancers, but totally different. And just a beautiful, beautiful sketch here. People in a circle holding hands by Wedgebro. So only 2,000 followers. So kind of a, unrecognized talent here, but this is gorgeous. And the color is beautiful. And the combination of these different colors for each person and then just graphite making this beautiful contrast. Here's another interesting artist, and we've been looking at this gallerist here, Kristen Hillegerdy, I think Norwegian, but not positive. And this is for a show in Schloss Gerne by Teresa Murda. So inspired by the song Caravan. So just an interesting painting here. And just by this artist here, I thought worth showing. And of course, we've shown Mark Belden several times. Here it just continues to get more gorgeous. 2023 gouache on this beautiful kind of violet paper, and just the colors are insanely beautiful. What else is there to say? Yeah, is this available for purchase? Let's see. I've had an inquiry, but I will let you know if they don't follow up. Thank you. So that person is doing very well. And of course, Joao Salazar with a new listing here, a new plasticine work of someone, I think, kind of falling through a skylight of sorts here onto a fire. Was it called Fall? Nice simple title here. Plasticine painting on canvas, available for 0.25 ETH on foundation. And that is your show. Thank you for joining me. We got Clown Vamp coming up on Wednesday for the Twitter Spaces. So another awesome guest. Until next time, take care. See you tomorrow.